So I just walk you through the first step in my SPF formula, which is stages, the stages of awareness. Now we're going to move on to the second step, which is psychology. And one of the key people that's going to help us with psychology in our business-to-business copywriting is Jonah Berger. Jonah Berger is a very famous marketing professor from one of the top business schools in the world. It's Wharton at the University of Pennsylvania. And he is the author of The Catalyst. Now, you may know him for a different book that he wrote that talks about virality, but the one that we're going to start with is The Catalyst, which is a more recent book. And the center of the book is how to change people's mind. And the core really of business-to-business copywriting is persuasion. It's psychology. It's convincing people that your product is worthy of being purchased. And there are a number of different approaches to that, and there are different stages you need to go through. But the key factor in copywriting is really psychology. It's really about convincing people and motivating people. So we're going to start with the catalyst, and we're going to use a framework that Jonah Berger developed called REDUCE. So the R stands for reactants, the E is for endowment, the D is for distance, the U is uncertainty, and the C and E stands for corroborating evidence. So a lot of what we're doing in business-to-business copywriting is convincing people to change their minds. They're stuck in the status quo. They're using legacy product. And what you're trying to do is get them motivated enough, educated enough, informed enough, persuaded enough to actually take steps to enter your sales funnel. And I'm going to go through each of these one by one, and we're going to start with reactants. So an analogy here is that when you want to get something to move that is not a human, you just push it. You push a chair and it goes in the direction that you want. But the problem is that when you try to push people and you just say, do this, if anybody's a parent and you just tell your kid to do something, a lot of the times they resist you and they rebel against you, or they do it, but they do it wrong just to be rebellious. So a lot of how you convince people to do something is you don't explicitly tell them what to do. You provide them options. You give them agency so they feel like they're making the choice themselves. And in a lot of cases, they're not actually really making the choice. You're laying options out on the table, but all of those options are ones that you want. So to give you an example, there was a taxi driver in Serbia recently who wasn't using his meter. So he was trying to, I don't know what the word is, extort extra money out of me. And he said you can either not pay me or give me the ridiculous fee that he was charging me. I think it was like $20 for a 3-minute drive or something, which is quite high for Serbia. So he made it seem like I had the choice, right? I can either say not pay anything or pay his really high fee. But really it was a ruse, because he knew I'm not going to want to pay nothing, because then it's like I'm stealing from him, right? He did provide a service. So I'm like, well, I don't want to give him nothing, so I'm going to have to give him everything. But it was a false dichotomy, because the middle ground was actually the correct option. It was a price that was fair. So but being somebody that's very familiar with marketing psychology, I knew that he was giving the options that were not the only options. So what I said was I offered him a price that was actually reasonable based on other rides that I had taken. But this is something that a lot of business-to-business copywriters do, is they provide options, because when you provide options, people are more likely to do what you want instead of just saying no. Instead of just rejecting your offer altogether, they're going to go with the option that they're willing to commit to. So we're going to go through some examples of this. LinkedIn advertising is something I've been exploring a lot lately because I think it's an underutilized channel. And I think it's a great way to demonstrate this idea of reactants or the solution, which is agency. Now, I received this email and this message ad. And a lot of times when you receive a message like this, the only option is book a 15-minute chat with me or book a demo, something like that. But what Grace is providing me here is, yes, tell me more. Yes, read the report, or I'm unsure. So she's essentially set up a few different options to cater to people that are at different levels of awareness or different stages of interest, which is awesome. And this is something you can do with the conversation ads, which is a new format on LinkedIn. And it's great because instead of just closing it, or instead of just clicking nothing, I'm probably going to choose one of these. I'm much more likely to change my mind because I feel like I have agency, I have choice. So here's an example of how you would set that up. I just went into the ad builder in LinkedIn and I said, hi there, first name, which will populate with whatever the person's name is on LinkedIn. My name is Decker, and I'm reaching out to you because I solved the biggest problem that you have. With Decker Corp, our family of products allows companies to eliminate $100,000 in waste. Would you be interested in a free demo of, and then you can put in your company product and give people the option. Are they ready to sign up for a demo or get the free consultation? If they're not, tell me more. Send me to a brochure, send me to a video overview, send me to some part on your page that's specific to my industry. You're giving them the option of saying yes, saying, or maybe, or give me more information. So a lot of the examples I'm providing have been for products, so like software products that are being marketed through LinkedIn ads. Well, let's look at an example where that's not what we're doing. We're doing more traditional marketing. So here we're marketing a service, and we're marketing it with direct mail. So physical mail outs instead of, your LinkedIn ads, your Google ads, etc. And I worked on this piece of direct mail with one of the most famous copywriters in the world. His name is Bob Bly. He wrote the Copywriter's Handbook, one of the top selling copywriting books, probably of all time. And he helped me put this together. And it's an example of agency. So I think one of the failures of business-to-business copywriters is hubris. There is a lot of assumptions about the customer that are not accurate. You assume that because they did X, they must be at this stage in the funnel. Or you assume that because they're this size, they must be a good candidate for your product. But that you can't be that arrogant. You don't know what they want. You don't know what choices they're going to make. I mean, unless you've done tons and tons of research, interviews, surveys, the amount of granularity with what people's needs are is very, very high. So what we're doing here is we're actually presenting 5 different free offers. And we're not saying everybody's going to love offer 1. No, we're giving 5 different ones. Okay, if this one doesn't appeal to you, maybe this one will, or this one. So the first is a tip sheet. The second is an estimate and proposal, a free 20-minute consultation, and $100 in credit for advertising, and free site updates for 2 full months after completion. So here's an example of the first concept in the reduced framework, which is reactants. And you address reactants by providing people options.